Savithri Phule, the mother of Indian feminism. In a time when education is accessible to many, it's easy to forget that there was an era when teaching a girl to read was considered an act of rebellion. Today, we remember a woman who challenged the darkness with courage and dignity, Savithri Phule. This is not just a history lesson, this is the story of a pioneer, a woman far ahead of her time, a name every Indian should know. Savitri Phule was born on January 3rd, 1831, in Naigaon, a small village in Maharashtra. She was married at the age of 9 to Jyotirao Phule, a progressive thinker who would become her partner in social reform. Savitri herself was uneducated at the time of her marriage, a common reality for most women of that era. But Jyotirao saw potential in her. He taught her to read and write, a bold move for those times. Soon, she didn't just become literate, she became a teacher, and with that began a revolution. In 1848, Savitri Phule and Jyotirao opened the first school for girls in Pune, at Bidewada. At that time, even the idea of girls attending school was unthinkable. They were met with hostility. People hurled stones and cow dung at her as she walked to school. Yet, yet, every day, every day, she wiped off the insults, held her head high, and kept walking. Because she knew if girls didn't get education, the nation wouldn't get progress. She went on to open 18 schools, not just for girls, but also for children from oppressed castes. For Savitribai, education was not a privilege, it was a right for all. Savitribai's activism didn't stop at education. She and her husband fought the rigid caste system with equal passion. They opened a shelter for widows and pregnant rape victims called Balhatya Pratibandhak Griha, a home for those abandoned by society. In those days, widows were often blamed for their husband's death. They were abused, isolated, and sometimes even forced to commit suicide. Savitribai gave them dignity, shelter, and a voice. She also spoke out against child marriage, sati, and denial of education to Dalits. This made her a target, but it never made her silent. Savitribai was also a poet. Her writings were sharp, honest, and radical. She used poetry as a weapon against injustice, challenging patriarchy, casteism, and religious orthodoxy. Her works, like Kavya Phule and Bhavankashi Subodh Ratnakar, are powerful reminders of her intellectual fire. She believed education was not just about books, it was about consciousness. In 1897, Pune was struck by a plague. Instead of staying safe, Savitribai opened a clinic for the infected. She personally carried patients on her back to the hospital. In doing so, she contracted the disease herself and died in service. She gave her life helping others, but her spirit lives on. Today, thousands of schools, scholarships, and social movements are named after her. She is rightly remembered as India's first female teacher and one of the earliest champions of women's rights and social justice in modern India. Savitribai Phule was not just a reformer, she was a visionary who dreamed of an India where every human being had the right to dignity, education, and equality. She fought when society was against her. She stood tall when the world looked away, and today we walk on the roads she paved. Let's not reduce her legacy to just textbook chapter. Let us honor it by continuing the fight for education, justice, and true equality. Thanks for listening. If this story moved you, share it. Let's make sure her name, Savitribai Phule, is remembered not just as the past but as a guide for our present and future.